Allyson Harper lived in the attic room of her family's old Victorian home, and she liked it that way. It was her sanctuary, her little kingdom where the rules of the world below, her parents' expectations, her brother's teasing, didn't seem to reach. It was cosy too. A sloping ceiling, a warm quilted bed, and a nightstand that always carried the essentials: her phone, her books, and her secret stash of gummy bears. That night, a Friday in early November, Allyson decided to turn in early. The chill of the season hadn't quite found its way past the drafty window yet, but the whispers of winter were there in the rustle of the dry leaves outside. She flipped on her night lamp, its soft golden glow giving the room a dreamy warmth. She grabbed her phone, nestled into her bed, and started texting her group chat. The girls were in rare form tonight. They giggled over memes, traded inside jokes, and, of course, teased each other about him, the prettiest boy in school, Jason Bowers. "He's such a loser," Allyson had typed, grinning in the pale light of her phone. But even as she hit send, her stomach fluttered. She wasn't the only one in the group with a not-so-secret crush on him, but she'd never admit it. By 10:45, the chat went quiet. Allyson put her phone on the nightstand and picked up Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire for the second time. She lost herself in the world of wands and wizardry, but as her eyelids grew heavy, she reluctantly placed the book down, switched off the lamp, and let sleep take her. It didn't take long. Sleep always came easy in the attic room. Until that night. Allyson's eyes opened with a snap. She didn't feel awake exactly, but she wasn't asleep either. She'd never felt anything quite like it before. Her body was still, her limbs heavy like she was pinned beneath an invisible weight. The room was bathed in faint silver light from the full moon shining through the attic window. It was peaceful, almost beautiful, except for one thing. Something was staring at her. She saw it in the window before her brain could catch up, and when it did, terror bloomed in her chest like a living, breathing thing. The face, if you could call it that, was there, pressed against the glass. Its skin was grey, the colour of ash after a fire, smooth and almost translucent. Its eyes were massive, almond-shaped, and dark as the deepest part of the night. They stared at her, unblinking, and for a moment, Allyson thought she was going to die, not because the thing moved or threatened her, but because her heart felt like it was trying to claw its way out of her chest. She tried to scream, but nothing came out. Her throat was frozen, locked tight as if her body had turned to stone. She tried to move, to roll over, to even twitch a finger, but her limbs ignored her, heavy and inert. The alien, because that's what it was, wasn't it? Didn't do anything. It didn't tap the glass, didn't open its mouth. It just watched. The seconds ticked by. Then minutes. It could have been hours, days even. Allyson didn't know. Time was meaningless under that gaze, those cold, bottomless eyes. And then, as suddenly as it began, the world slipped away. When she woke up, sunlight was pouring through the window. Allyson sat up with a gasp, her heart racing, her body slick with sweat. A dream. It had to have been a dream. Except... She swung her legs out of bed and padded to the window, her breath catching in her throat as she reached for the latch. Her fingers trembled, but she pushed it open, leaning out to look around. The crisp morning air nipped at her cheeks. The yard below was empty. She sighed, a shaky laugh escaping her lips. "Get a grip, Allyson," she muttered, closing the window and locking it tight. That's when she saw it. On the inside of the glass, streaked across the surface in a viscous, greenish slime, were 3 words: "I'll be back." Allyson stumbled backward, her hand flying to her mouth. Her breath came in shallow gasps as she stared at the words, the slimy residue glinting faintly in the morning light. it wasn't over. That night, Allyson didn't text her friends. She didn't pick up her book. She just lay in bed, staring at the attic window, dreading what might come next. And when sleep finally took her, she wasn't sure if she'd wake up again.